Hello and welcome to Charlotte, North Carolina. Ahead of the 2022 Disc Golf Pro Tour Championship presented by Barbasol, we're joined by Simon Lizotte. Simon, it's the end of 2022. You got 4 wins on the Elite Series this year. Reflect on that.
Crazy year and a roller coaster ride anywhere from 70th place to first and everything in between, it feels like. And just weird. So often playing for contention of the win and then so often being on like 20th card. I wonder where that consistency is missing a bit. But overall I definitely can't complain. I've had a lot of great things happen this year, and wow, what a season.
Yeah, what a season and what a year as a person too, becoming a father and getting married and everything. So, as a fan of disc golf, how would you kind of grade the 2022 season with so much parity, with who's getting wins, who's getting 70th, and then who's bouncing back to wins?
I think it was a super exciting season to watch, just seeing all the improvements in the media game itself. I mean, the Disc Golf Network is legit, and it's fun to watch. I tune in every morning to watch the FPO play, and if I'm not in contention in MPO myself, I watch that at the end of my round, and I love it. It's just fun to watch. All the tournaments have been, at least all my wins have almost been nail-biters till the last hole, and a lot of other wins have also been great battles that I got to watch. So I think we're headed in a really good direction, and I'm looking forward to next year. I think this was a great, best year ever. I'd say that.
We've said that every year, going on 3 years now. What is the next step that this sport takes?
What is the next step? I don't know. We need to change the 30-second rule a bit to make it better, and we need to get rid of the 2-meter rule, and we need to work on some of the fluky factors of the sport to make it a bit more legit. I'm not the person to figure that out, but I sure someone will.
Gotcha. All right, we're here at the championship, different format. You're waiting till Saturday. Is that a good or bad thing?
I think it's a great thing because on Sunday I went to Topgolf and just went full child mode and like hit 400 balls as hard as I could, and I am so sore right now I can't even walk, which is sad but true. So I'm very happy I have till Saturday to recover.
Have you seen Nevin Park? What's your thoughts on the course overall?
Yeah, I walked it yesterday and I was very, I don't want to say intimidated, but I was a bit like, okay, this course is no joke. Like a lot of those holes, especially on the back 9, are like, some of the par 4s are like borderline par 5s, some of the par 3s I'm like, man, I'm really happy if I get a 3 on this hole. So I think this will be one of those courses, kind of scoring wise similar to Northwood Black, I think, where a couple under par and a handful under par is going to be really hot. Like, you got to be on point. And as much as I love woods golf, it's a bit sad that not too many people can come out and watch. I hope it would look good on camera at least. I have hopes for that. It'll look good because it is a cool track, but the worst shot you can possibly throw on this shot is almost perfect, and that gets frustrating. If you're almost perfect, you'll get the worst breaks and the worst kicks. So I think it'll be interesting to watch, and a lot of people are going to struggle.
So it sets up for another exciting finish, you think?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, there's no OB, so this course allows a lot of scrambling, which I love. There's OB on like maybe a handful of holes, but it's a wooded track. If you get off the fairway, you got to show some skills and some creativity, so I'm always a big fan of that. And I have no doubt it'll come down to the last 2 or 3 holes again. It's like just always the way it goes somehow.
You hinted at it a little bit, but this format's different, starting with tomorrow.
Yeah.
There's 6 players that are trying to get in. Talk about the pressure every day. I know you got a few days to wait and relax that golf swing, but the pressure that mounts every day. Talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, we just got done with the biggest or second biggest event of the year last week in Rock Hill. So I think a lot of people are still like calming down from that and everything that means. So me personally, I don't feel any pressure right now. I'm just hanging out and just kind of enjoying Charlotte. I've been thinking about moving here for a while, and it might be a potential future home. I know that it's a great place for a pro disc golfer to live. So I'm really enjoying it down here, kind of checking out the city a bit, feel the vibes. And everyone else, I don't know. It's been such a long season. I feel like how much tension and pressure can we build one more time? I can't feel it yet. I'm sure it'll build up for me by Saturday.
Nice. And the whole thing wraps up Sunday. So what's your plan for the off season and looking ahead to 2023?
Next week I'm flying actually to St. Louis to do the big money skins match with the biggest prize for first of all time, 50 grand for first, plus all the skins you win. So that can be a great financial weekend on one of the top tracks we have in the world at Eagles Crossing. And after that, I think I'll take November a bit easy, try to get back into the family groove at home. And then December, I'm flying to Germany for a couple of weeks to spend pre-Christmas season, and then back to Massachusetts for Christmas and New Year's. And then we're almost back to 2023 disc golf, and I have a New Zealand trip planned and potentially some other trips already in the early season, even before the Pro Tour kicks off. It's busy. I have 5 more years of busy, and then I'll find something else.
Hey, Simon, does your finish at USDGC impact your confidence coming into this event?
Yes and no. Of course, I mean, finishing in 57th, I think I was at the end, is not great confidence booster, especially my putting let me down so badly last weekend. Just so weird going out there feeling like confidence from Maple Hill, and my putting all season has been a bit of a roller coaster, but definitely an upward trend and a lot of solid weekends of putting. So looking at some of my UDIS stats on the putting green was like mid-50s, mid-60s% from Circle 1, which is a nightmare for us out there. So I'll find my putting by Saturday, no doubts.
Do you think you can make adjustments from week to week, or do you think you just show up and hope you have a better week?
Kind of depends on my mental state, but I mean, before our interview right now, I was out here practice putting for 30 minutes and trying to figure stuff out. And I have 4 more days, and I'm going to work on the putting because I want to give it one last run for the 2 more weeks I have, and then it's time for a break. Right now, not time for a break, so I'm going to try.
What's been your favorite win this season, if you had to pick one?
I am the worst out of anyone to pick anything favorite. I don't have a favorite course or a favorite disc or a favorite country. I think everything is unique and special in its own way, and all my 4 wins were so special and different, and I love all of them equally.
Thanks, Simon. We'll be right back.
Cool.
And we're back with the 2022 US DGC champion, Ganon Buhr. Ganon, what have the last, 36 hours been like for you?
Pretty unreal. It still doesn't feel real yet, so still kind of taking in everything. I probably watched the clip of me putting out like 30 times, so it's insane. I'm not sure when it's going to hit me that it's actually real, but it's been amazing.
All right, your mom has been sharing some memories on social media, especially that video you teeing off on 18 when you were, 10 years old?
10, yep.
I mean, any reflections of that, thinking back to your first trip to Winthrop and then 7 years later winning it on that same hole?
Just looking at the OB lines on 18, back then, 7 years ago, I mean, you had so much room off the tee, and now it's such a tight fairway, you have to place the disc pretty much within like 20 feet of where you want it to, or your OB. So tee shot's definitely gotten a lot harder, but it's just crazy to see that hole, hasn't obviously changed really at all, tee to green. So, but my putt where I landed when I was 10 years old was exactly where I tapped out from, which is pretty cool. So, yeah.
All right, we've made a lot about you being 17 years old. Nicholas Antela is only 20 years old. What does that say about the future of disc golf and where we're heading?
It's looking good. I mean, we have a ton of new young and up-and-comers, coming up in the disc golf scene. It's amazing to, kind of, I guess in a way, like be leading that. My goal is to get as many people in disc golf as possible. I love the competition, and I want to see the sport grow. So to see, the young guys kind of, win these tournaments, every other weekend, it's amazing to see that.
And take us into your insight, coming down the stretch in that battle with Nicholas. And what did you see from him, step by step until the very end?
It felt like, anywhere he wanted to throw the disc, he could, and it was very intimidating and frustrating for me. Even though he's not one of the furthest throwers, and he was, playing safe, especially on like 10, the par 4, that I was able to eagle and get a stroke on him. But just holes like that, where he's playing his game plan, he's executing it pretty much every time, and the only reason I beat him was off of putting. So that's, it could have gone either way. If he makes just those 2 circle 1 putts, I'll lose, even with birdie in the last 5 holes. But his drives were on point the whole week. It felt like he couldn't mess up, except for a couple little issues there and here and there.
You talked about a lesson learned from that final round, as far as playing your competitor, playing shot for shot. What else did you take away from that final round? You had Paul McBeth right there, Calvin Heimburg right there. I mean, what did you learn more about yourself in the final 18 holes?
I'm still struggling with it, like even now, but to know that I'm just as good as Paul and Calvin. When I play with them, I like immediately in my head I'm just like, they're way better than me. I'm gonna get blown out of the water. They seem like they have no nerves. They're confident. They've been in the situation before, and it's even now it kind of feels like I don't belong in a way. But now obviously with the win, and I guess the way the whole season's gone, I'm good enough to play at the top level. I just need to have more experience with that.
Yeah, going back to Las Vegas and how close that was, so it seems like a long time ago, which it was. What have you learned about yourself on and off the course this year?
Not a ton. I've kind of learned that throwing is more important than putting in a way. Obviously, the putts I hit down the stretch were super important. It's always important to putt good, but it's more important to give yourself those opportunities, because if you're not throwing the disc good, the putting doesn't matter, because you might be putting for a par or a bogey instead of a birdie. So I think I was second in tee to green for the USDGC, which my throwing statistics are usually my worst part of my game. My putting's always up there. I think I finished the year as the highest percent circle 2 putter, which is awesome to see. But yeah, I think towards the end of the season, I really dialed in my throwing, being smooth, throwing the highest percentage shot, and that kind of gave me the best ability to score as under par as I could.
You're coming into the championship with the 4th seed, so that obviously signifies a solid year. Tell us about the format and waiting till Saturday to play.
Yeah, it's a bit of a relief. Last year, I was in the first round. I had to work my way up to I made it to the semifinal round, and missed the finals by 1 stroke. But now I just have to be dialed in. I don't have to worry about stressing out to make it forward to these next couple rounds. I'm already in basically like the second to last round. So if I just have one good round, I'll be there in the finals, and I think from there I can just play my game again and I'm happy to be at a woods course. We haven't had a woods course in a little bit, I guess at Brewster Ridge and Maple Hill, but this is a little bit different. It kind of feels like there's not a ton of airspace to work with. There's definitely lines that you have to hit, which, I'm a fan of. There's not a bunch of flex shots out here. There's a lot of hyzer flips, which I'm not very good at, so hopefully I can get dialed in the next couple days.
Nice. All right. Last question for me. Have you finished your homework?
No.
All right. Here's
I
Matt.
want to start it, though.
Gannon, we talked at Des Moines. You talked about how nervous you get especially when you're putting. Where does your putt on 17 a few days ago rank in the most nervous you've ever been in your life?
Like, pretty low. I had like no nerves on that putt. I was after the double bogey, I kind of gave up in my head, and when I gave up, there was no pressure. So I kind of just started to play the course just how I would in practice. Just throw the shot and then focus on the shot and not the situation. So on 17, I really just took a couple extra seconds and took another deep breath and really just visualized the line I wanted to put the putt on. And the second I let it go, I knew it was in. But not a ton of nerves. Usually when I'm really nervous, I have that snappy follow through where I bring it back like behind my body almost. And I held it a little bit longer, so you could kind of tell, I guess, that way. But yeah, low nerves.
Having such a strong performance here, kind of a breakout performance here last year, different course, of course, but how does it feel coming back here to the same event?
It's nice to especially have the bye to the semifinal round. Like I said, it's very stressful trying to see the people around you, and you're not really playing the course, you're playing against the people. And there's not another round you can look forward to if you don't shoot good the first round, because then you're out of it. So I think it's cool to obviously have the 4 seed. I feel decent about this event. If I can just throw the disc where I want to and hit my lines, get my game plan figured out in these next couple days, I'll be just fine.
Thanks, Gannon. We'll be right back.
We're back with Corey Ellis. Corey, 10th seed coming into the week, shows a pretty solid year. How are you feeling coming into one of the final events of the year?
I feel great. I love the woods, and Nevin is really tight, and looking forward to.
You've been here before?
Oh yeah, played quite a few times here at this place. It's changed a lot with the way you guys have modified it, but I really like it.
I mean, break down some of the changes for some people who have been here before and what they're going to see this weekend.
Well, we're starting on what was 14 or 15, so it's a little odd coming and parking over here and starting on that hole. But 18's completely different. It's 2 holes combined pretty much, and it's going to be a really, really tough birdie. I would be surprised to see many actually go for it unless they need it coming down the stretch.
All right. What is the biggest challenge out here?
Staying in the fairway. That's number one. Just really, you can get some bad kicks and end up in some awkward spots. It's North Carolina golf at its finest.
All right, this has been, would you call this a breakout season for you, I would think?
Yeah, I would think so. It's definitely my best season in my career so far. Plenty more to go.
And this is the first time that you've toured extensively. Just tell us about that experience to going coast to coast and playing everywhere.
Yes, it's my first time going out west, and it's awesome to meet new people as always, and get to build some relationships out there even, and it's just incredible to get to live this life. I can't fathom how lucky I really am. A lot of people just dream about this, and it's a privilege.
Well, tell us that story for people that don't know. How did you discover the game, and what has this game done for you to get to this point?
My dad took me out when I was 5 years old to play, and we just kind of played off and on until I got a little older where I could compete in some tournaments. I was like 12 or so, and then we were just hooked, and we were both very competitive natured, so it was just something to me strive to beat him, and then it's just gone from there. Just continue to get better and better and try to stay consistent at this point.
You've had a front row seat for a number of incredible finishes this season. What's your take, as a fan of the sport of 2022 as a whole?
I think it's been incredible, and I'm really looking forward to 23, and we'll see what happens this week. Anything can happen.
Nice. All right, here's Matt.
Hey, Corey. You've been very close to some wins and big finishes this year. Do you feel like you're on the verge of a big one? Is like yours is finally coming?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I would never play a tournament I didn't feel I couldn't win, and I feel like I have a good opportunity on this course. I love the woods, so I'm looking forward to it.
We saw a close finish at Maple Hill. You didn't finish on top, and clearly that was a huge loss. Is that still sticking with you, or have you completely moved on?
I mean, you can't forget the lesson learned, and it just reminds me of things I need to work on in the off season. But right now, there's more golf to play, and you got to just forget about it and focus on the task at hand.
Thanks, Corey. We'll be right back.
And we're back with Jeff Spring, Pro Tour CEO and Tour Director. Jeff, I've been asking the players, how do you feel coming into the Pro Tour Championship?
How do I feel? I feel fantastic as usual. This is one of my favorite events of the year. We've really refined it over the past 3 years. And top 4 score and you advance. And that's our theme this week. It's very exciting. A lot of money on the line. And it's a celebration of the season.
What's the thought process behind this format? What do you want to see at the end?
Yeah, there's a few things behind it. Number one is that points matter all season long. Our players accumulate points. If you're in the top 8, you get a bye to the semifinals. If you're in the top 16, you get a bye to the quarters. And if you qualify, you automatically walk away with a minimum of $2,500. So it's our bonus payouts for the season are integrated into this. It's a record-breaking $302,000 purse. Most of that, almost all of that, added cash. Big thanks to Barbasol for being our presenting sponsor and our season-long partners. But points matter, and it's do or die. You have to perform each round, so it's very exciting. Advantages all season, you accumulate these points for your seeds, and you have the advantage. You go last each day based on your seed. If you have the highest seed, you go last. You know what people in front of you did. You also know if you tie them, you advance. Of course, in the final 4, it's going to go to a playoff if there's a tie at the top. But other than that, seed is everything.
Looking at the seedings, it's very reflective of the season that we've had on the Pro Tour and how exciting it's been week in and week out. So, and it all just culminates right here at Nevin Park. So how did we get to this point? How did these seeds shake out, and what have you seen this year?
Well, for the first time ever, we announced the Disc Golf Pro Tour playoffs. It was our first year, a bit of a pilot program. We learned a lot, but we definitely saw a lot of movement late in the season with the playoffs having 125% of the normal 100 points. So they're playing for 25% more. We saw Ben Calloway make a run at MVP. 1 minute he's in to the Tour Championship, 1 minute he's out. So it was nice to see, the season really coming down to the playoffs. The majors were integrated this year for the first time, the top 2 majors. So I think it is a fantastic reflection of the entire season, the way the points have shooken out. And we're excited to crown a champion here this week.
Now, you mentioned Barbasol and a record payout. More news on the way?
We've got a couple tricks up our sleeve, as usual. We're working with ESPN, and we're excited to announce that activation later this week. In the past, we've done post-production event features, and I anticipate it being very, very similar when we get to that announcement.
How did those deals come about with Barbasol and with ESPN, and what does that mean to keep pushing this forward?
Yeah, they come about through hard work. Our team here, I just want to give a big thanks to our team, operations, media, admin. We have over 40 employees, over 20 contractors, tons of people working to make this happen. And with good results comes good opportunities, and you got to have the right connections. And we feel good about going forward in terms of partnerships. We have a relationship with CSMG, which is kind of marketing and partnership agency now that helped land the Barbasol deal. So big thanks to Kevin McIntyre and the CSMG group. And then, I think that as disc golf continues to grow and develop, not just courses and players, but fans and people and media and watching at home, there's going to be more and more opportunities. We see them every year. We're very picky about it because we really focus on bringing all the content to the Disc Golf Network subscriber. So sometimes when there's national opportunities, we turn those down and focus on our DGN subscribers and give them all the content. That's our core media strategy. But as things progress, I think we'll find ways to serve kind of both needs, where we put out more national content. So far, we've had pretty decent deals, and it's a great opportunity at the end of the year to kind of go national with our product. But I think you'll see more and more of that as the years go on.
Exciting stuff, obviously. Back to this week, Nevin Park, new venue. Tell us about the changes and how this came about to land here at this park.
Yeah, when we first picked Hornets Nest and moved the Tour Championship to Charlotte, we knew one thing. We wanted to be in Charlotte. It's got one of the best disc golf courses in the clubs in the world. It's got 20 courses that they manage. Mark Huther, the operations director, is unbelievable. One of the best course maintainers, designers, builders, very prolific. He works very hard, and his entire crew at the Charlotte Disc Golf Club. So we had assets here in Charlotte. We decided between Hornets Nest and Nevin year one. This was a close second. They're doing some long-term infrastructure upgrades at Nevin that's affecting the course this year. Sorry, at Hornets Nest. So, we went to our number 2, Nevin, and, I think that there are elements that are better about this park, and there are some things we'll miss about Hornets Nest, and everybody knows and loves it. But I think after this championship, people will know and love Nevin as well.
All right, thanks, Jeff. Here's Matt.
Thanks.
What's the big plans for the off season? What's a highlight that viewers and subscribers might see this off season?
The first big plans are giving staff some rest and recuperation. It's been a long grind of a year. We always get to this point. Hopefully, we feel a little bit better than we did last year. I think we've done a good job keeping our team sustainable. But in terms of off-season viewership, we've got more content than ever for the Disc Golf Network. We've been working all year on a docuseries about the tour and the players called On Tour, and it's going to hit just after this, probably a couple weeks, so really good reason to stay subscribed. We've got other content that's announced and released. We got Silver Series live. We're going to be doing some more live in the off season. So, all the reasons in the world to stay subscribed. We're going to be bringing content of your favorite pros all off season and a recap of this year. And it's the best way to support the Disc Golf Pro Tour and the Disc Golf Network is to stay subscribed. We'll keep it fresh for you guys, but we're still a growing startup, and we always appreciate our subscribers' support throughout the off season.
We haven't spoken to you since the 2023 schedule was made official. What changes were you the most excited to announce to the world?
Yeah, well, we're working with the Open at Belton team to take that one to Austin. We're really excited about the Austin disc golf scene. We know we've been hearing disc golfers in Austin saying, bring one to Austin. I think it's going to be a great turnout. Music City and Nashville, another metro that we're excited to elevate to Elite Series. Really excited to be back working with those folks. And then, our return to Europe. We learned a lot this year. We're really excited to get back and probably do more than ever, across the seas. But really what we work on is building strong partnerships with our event teams, letting those event teams have a solid base to even grow higher on. We've got the Elite Plus coming. That's going to be more cash, more purse, more points, more media. And those events are really going to pop, and they're going to be worth a little bit more, but for a reason. The Portland Open and Ledgestone are 2 of our biggest events. We see enhanced spectator experiences, so on and so forth. So those are the highlights for me.
Thanks, Jeff. We'll be right back.
Thanks.
All right, back with Calvin Heimburg. Calvin, we've reached the end of the 2022 season, or close to it. You picked up 2 wins this year and a handful of close finishes. How you feel about the year overall?
Yeah, I had a couple wins. Those were great, but also had a lot of events where I feel like I didn't play that great. So I'd say the season was kind of inconsistent, but I guess good as a whole. Got 2 wins, so at least I get to walk away with those.
I mean, what's the energy level right now among the players? It's been a long season. We were just at Winthrop, 36 hours ago, and now we're moving on to the next one. So tell us about the grind, week in and week out, to move on to the next event.
Yeah, it's definitely been a busy year. There's been a lot of events. Back-to-backs are always busy, but luckily we didn't really have much of a travel, or there was no distance to really drive between. You know, both events are they're either in Charlotte or close to Charlotte. So this feels a little bit easier to get to. I took an off day yesterday, so because I didn't really need a travel day, and yeah, I don't have to play here until Saturday. So,
you know, third place at USDGC. You know, obviously always going for the top spot, but when you reflect back on a podium finish at a major in the state of the sport right now, how proud of you are you of that?
I mean, as you just said, you're always going for the win. So I mean, maybe later I'll look back on it and be happy with it, but currently it's nothing I'm too proud about. I was obviously going into Sunday trying to win, and that's the case anytime you're in contention at any event. So it's hard to say that, yeah, I'm happy with third place when obviously that's not really what I was trying to do.
Where did things go sideways for you on Sunday, and what do you want to correct going into this Pro Tour Championship?
I think I just had a slow start. I mean, obviously there was the triple bogey on hole 10, but I think more so than even that was a slow start. So I don't think there was really much to correct. I played pretty well last weekend. I putted well, threw the disc well for the most part. I just seemed to have like one bad hole every round, or most of them. So yeah, I mean, just, you know, keep the mistakes minimal and continue to make putts, give yourself chances.
What did you see from Nicholas and Gannon going down the stretch, the way they were battling, you know, for the win?
Yeah, they both played great down the stretch. I mean, Gannon, you know, a little bit better than Niklas. He was able to gain a couple strokes and pull ahead, and came through clutch on the last hole with the birdie. I mean, he put himself in the driver's seat on 17 with a huge putt, and you know, didn't give Niklas a chance to get back in it on 18 when he put it close.
How hard is it to come out here and chase down a win week in and week out, just the state of disc golf right now?
It's definitely hard to win. I mean, there's a lot of great players, and everyone's out here trying to win. But it's all our job. So I mean, it's not hard to physically come out here and try to do it, but to actually achieve that goal is pretty difficult week in and week out. So it's always a great feeling when you do pull one off. But yeah, I just like to at least put myself in the hunt.
You got 4 days until you play this week. What's the plan for the week, or is it a good or bad thing that you have to wait that long?
I think it's a good thing. I mean, it's always a good thing to get buys. I don't think there's an advantage to having to play and the play-in. Like, I mean, your tournament life is on the line every time you go out there and have to play around in this format. So getting a buy into the semis is definitely an advantage. I'll still be out here practicing when I'm allowed to, and getting ready to play, and hopefully I play well on Saturday.
All right, tell us about Nevin.
I actually haven't played here yet, so I don't know what the changes are. That's this afternoon. I took an off day yesterday, so I'll get out there this afternoon and check it out. But I don't really have any comments on the course because I have no clue what it looks like. I've been here before, but I know it's apparently been changed.
Gotcha. All right, appreciate it, Kevin. Here's Matt.
Thank you.
At the end of a long season, where are you at mentally?
I feel good. I mean, I have this, and I got the skins before I get to head home. It's nice knowing there is an end in sight, but obviously there's 2 big events left for me to play with the chance to make quite a bit of money and, you know, win something meaningful. So I'm still just focused on playing the best I can.
And do you have any big plans for the off season?
There's nothing big planned currently. I'm sure I'll figure something out, but nothing huge right now.
Thanks, Calvin. We'll be right back.
And we're back with Paige Pierce. Paige, you look at the list of players that are playing this weekend and look at the list of players that are not here this weekend. How special is it to make this point and make the Pro Tour Championships?
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. I talked about that a little bit last week at Winthrop, that it's just, you can't just play the tour, and if you play every single event, you're still not guaranteed to qualify. So it's pretty awesome to be sitting here and to have a bye until Saturday. So yeah, I feel excited about that, and this course is definitely challenging. So
does this encapsulate the state of FPO right now? How hard it is to get to this point?
yeah, I think MPO as well, but yeah, definitely FPO. I mean, it's really a testament to how many women have transitioned from watching at home to starting to train and do field work and put in the hours on the putting green, and now to be on tour and competing at the highest level. It's definitely transitioned big time.
How can you compare the difficulty level to win or even hit the podium today compared to even a year ago?
Yeah, also kind of talked about this at Winthrop, that my game plan was going to be to try to play some smart golf and not be super aggressive as my normal play style is. And I did that, and I did it well. I think I didn't have too many out of bounds the first 3 rounds where I was playing smart golf, but hindsight, I didn't know that there was going to be multiple 10 unders each round. So, a few years ago, you could play smart golf, you could play safe golf, you could lay up on some holes, whether that be on the putting green or off the tee. And now, clearly, that is not capable of getting you the win, is playing smart golf when the competition's out there shooting 10 under par. So that's another huge testament to the growth in the field.
Is that another wrinkle in the game overall, to be able to pick when you have to put the pedal down and go aggressive?
Yeah, I think it's really cool element to the game, because, yeah, you have to choose. You can still play smart golf, but you can't play 18 holes of smart golf. If you want to pick 1 or 2 holes that you don't feel super confident on, you could. But 18 holes of smart golf these days is not going to work out well for you. So I think that's awesome. But yeah, it's definitely adds to the decision-making process in your preparation for the tournaments.
All right, we're wrapping up the 2022 season. It's been wild, all the parity which we've talked about. Any chance to even remotely reflect on your season? You've taken down 2 majors, been around in the mix, seen all this parity. I mean, what do you think about this year with where we're at right now?
Yeah, it's hard to think about it as a whole currently with one more event. I'll be thinking about that on Monday morning for sure. But I mean, right now I feel proud of myself. 2 majors and half the majors and 3 pro tours. So I feel like I've had a good season and had some trials and tribulations and some wins and some losses. And yeah, it's been a roller coaster, and that's kind of how it goes. And yeah, it's been a fun season, 2022, and I'm sure 2023 is going to be even more fun.
A few weeks ago, you spoke about your fire and your passion. Now it's changed and maybe even wavered a little bit. Has it changed, or is it just different for you right now?
Yeah, I guess change is different, right? I was going to say it's different. I was going to say it's just different. But yeah, I think it's changed a little bit. Yeah, I'm just trying to keep the passion and keep the fire, but to not find that frustration and the anger out there. And I think it's made me a lot happier. Like after my round, I'm not stressed about what place I'm in or what score I shot, what my rating is. I actually just saw my rating 2 days ago for the first time, like in a couple months. I was like, whoa, that's pretty low. But it's been nice to not have those worries or those stressors, but I'm still out here competing at a high level, making the semifinals, and competing for wins. And yeah, it's been a lot more relaxing on my mental state for sure.
Speaking of frustration, Nevin can probably bring it early and often. What do you think about this place, and what's it going to deliver this week?
Yeah, on certain courses, you're like, oh, hole 6, for example, is going to be the tough hole. Out here at Nevin, I think you can't really predict what hole you're going to have the tough hole on. It's kind of just whichever hole you miss your release on. Any single shot that you mess up, you're going to be off the fairway and scrambling. So I like that type of golf. I wish that we could open up a little bit more out here. The only hole where you actually get to see the disc fly is hole 18, really. So hopefully next year, if we come back here for the final, a couple more open shots would be in play. But I think that's a really, really awesome type of golf to play to keep people on their toes. And yeah, you could put in 1 practice round, you could put in 10 practice rounds, but it really doesn't matter. You have to scramble and you're going to have to improvise. So I like that type of golf. I think it's really fun.
Yes. Thanks, Paige. Here's Matt.
Hey, Paige. You recently mentioned you took a glance at your rating for the first time in a while. Do you still think you're the best player in the world, like you've stated before, or is there a changing of the guard?
No, I don't think I'm the best player in the world right now. Definitely not by a long shot. Yeah, I need to develop a stronger sidearm that I can rely on. I have a sidearm, but I don't feel confident whipping it out in the middle of a round. And then, yeah, my putting just has been subpar. I would say Champions Cup was like my pinnacle of my putting this year, and then since then it hasn't quite lived up to it. And maybe that's I can account expectations for that. After that tournament, I just thought I was going to hit every putt ever for the rest of my life, because it was so good. But yeah, I think that I can attribute some of that to expectations, and then also just putting too much on my plate and not giving myself enough time to practice. So I think, towards the end of this year, I've kind of said no to a lot more things and trying to give myself more downtime and more time to practice and work on my game, and just being happy. So I think it's a huge balance with the sport growing of trying to make sure you get enough time in all the different avenues of how we want to grow the sport.
You said your putting's been up and down. It's been as good as ever, and then you've struggled with it. Is it a week-to-week thing? And if so, can you go into a week and say, I'm going to make this adjustment? Or are you just going in saying, I hope I putt better this week? Yeah,
well, I mean, you can think of Paul McBeth in that scenario, right? Where he's at Worlds and he's talking about in the middle of the tournament, he's talking about how bad his putt is, and he's going out every night and practice putting. He ends up winning, and then he's confident as can be. In the next few events, he's putting incredibly. Maple Hill, I saw him hit some incredible death putts at the water, and you can switch it week in, week out. It's really about a confidence thing and also just putting in the reps. And yeah, I think that kind of goes with all aspects of the game. The more putts you get in, the more drives you get in, the more confident you're going to feel when the time comes to execute. And yeah, I think it's just all about your confidence and then your preparation.
Thanks, Paige. We'll be right back.
back here at Nevin with Kyle Klein. Kyle, some big news today.
Yeah.
Why don't you tell us about it?
Yeah, just announced today I'm extending my my contract, my partnership with Discmania for the next 4 years. So I'm just stoked about that.
Break it down for a little bit for us. How did it come about? What were the talks like? And for 4 years, that's got to be a great feeling.
Yeah, I mean, started pretty early this year, like February or March, really, and we've just kind of been working through it for the last however many months, and finally kind of closed it about 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago maybe. It was probably 2 weeks ago, but yeah, just kind of waiting until after last week to announce it. So yeah, it's just a great feeling to have that kind of done with, and knowing I have a great company kind of behind me, and yeah.
The length of it as well, 4 years, is that's a relief that you're locked in for an extended period of time. All right, this year, 6 top 10s in the last 7 events and a 9th place finish at USDGC. How's your game feeling right now? Obviously pretty well, but peaking at the right time?
Yeah, I definitely think so. I think off the tee, I feel better than I ever have, really. My putting's still a little bit of a struggle. Kind of the middle of the stretch, starting at kind of like the preserve area going into Des Moines, really. It was kind of at a peak, really. So I'm kind of just trying to find that, just find the stroke again.
How hard is it to do that week in and week out, to finish that consistently in the top 10? And what does that mean, more so than it did a couple years ago, to finish that high?
Yeah, it's just really about, for me, it's just like mental game, really. It's like I know I have all the skills to do it. It's just about knowing I can and telling myself that if I have a bad shot, that it's not over. It's not the end of the world. You just got to come back from it and do what you know how to do.
You've got a couple of days before you have to play. How are you going to spend the time, or do you see that as an advantage or a disadvantage?
I think I see it a little bit of an advantage having, I think, 1 or 2 more days to practice than the other competitors here. So I think I have a bye to the quarterfinals. I think so. Yeah. Yeah, I'm just looking to get some good practice in and try to just get that one of those top 4 spots to move on.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on the format? Are you feeling the pressure?
A little bit, but I like this a lot. Like seeing Nathan Queen last year, having to go from the first round even all the way to win at the end is just it was just really cool to see. Like, I feel like if you put his scores in any 4-round tournament at that course last year, he probably would have won, because I don't think he had one bad round, obviously. But yeah, I like the format a lot.
All right, how many times have you been through Nevin?
I think maybe just once. I think I was here in January. I think I played it once or twice. So I haven't seen it in this layout yet, so I'm excited to get out there and see what it looks like. What
were your thoughts in January when you saw it at that point? I know it's changed a little bit, obviously, but the core's still there.
It was fun. I liked it a lot. Definitely some shorter holes that probably got changed for this year, but I'm definitely expecting it to be a lot more grown in, a lot tighter, and longer.
All right, well, congrats on the deal. Here's Matt.
Kyle, congrats again.
Thank you.
Besides the money, of course, why Discmania?
They're just, I don't know. I love their stuff, what they come out with, and they were pretty much the first company I started throwing when I picked up the game. I mean, that and Innova kind of go hand in hand, but they've been the majority of my bag ever since, even before I got sponsored. So it just kind of felt familiar to go with them, and they're just coming out with new, just great stuff,
The final day of USDGC, you had a stretch of 8 birdies in a row. What was working during that?
I don't really know. I don't know. I think I was like 3 over through the first 4 holes, and like going into the round, I was telling myself, it's like, you just have to shoot hot and to make a run at this thing. And after the first 4 holes, I was 3 over and however many strokes back to lead. And then I just told myself, well, there's nothing to be scared of now. So you just got to go out and just try to be not as aggressive as you can, but just be aggressive and just try to get as many birdies as you can. I got 8 in a row.
Is that always how it works for you, when you kind of feel like you have nothing to lose, you play a little more aggressively, or is it easy to just kind of mail it in if you're kind of down and out?
Yeah, I feel like, I don't know, that's been a trend, is like if I start really bad, something will click for me and I just start birdieing and going on streaks like that. So, yeah, I mean, I'm not going to say there's nothing to lose. I was obviously trying to get that top 10 spot to qualify for next year, which I got. But, yeah, it was just kind of fun to see, like, 3 over through 4, and then I looked 10 holes later, and now I'm 6 under. And I was like, huh, Funny how that works.
Thanks, Kyle. We'll be right back.
We're back with Catrina Allen. Recently took down the Throw Pink Women's National Championship just, 36 hours ago. How have you reflected on that win in the short time?
I guess I just took a day off yesterday. Enjoyed a nice dinner with my sponsor Sean from Squatch and Austin, and then Drew and Michaela and Sean and Austin and I played some top golf, so enjoyed it a little bit, and then rested yesterday, and then already back to work trying to figure out Nevin.
Yeah, we'll go back to Throw Pink, but how are you feeling overall at this point in the season? What's the vibe among the players right now? It's been a long one, week in, week out. We're already on to the next one.
Yeah, actually, on hole one before the final round, Kristin was like, "Oh, I've been out here for 2 months," and I was kind of giving her some, a little crap. I was like, "Well, me and Holcomb been out here for 12 years." So yeah, I think everyone's a bit, it's been a great season, but the more it grows and the more Elite Series we have, the more of a grind it is. So yeah.
Now going back to that final round, roller coaster. You were up big, you were trailing at one point, and you finished up big. Where does that rack up for you, in your mental game over your past recent few wins or whatever?
Yeah.
Events.
The one thing I talked to Austin about throughout my round, I was kind of texting him a little bit, and he's like, just make sure you play to win. Don't play scared or tentative or worst case scenario. Just stick to your game plan. You've been playing great all weekend, and I think that really paid off down the end, is just kind of staying in my lane. Of course, like I've talked about, Kristin's an incredible player and capable of great things, but that's kind of wasted energy to focus on because, I don't, as much as I know what she's capable of, if I'm, worrying about that instead of just executing the shot I have in front of me, it just puts me in the wrong mindset. So I just tried to stay in my game and in the moment and execute the shot at hand.
How difficult has it become to win in this field?
Well, the last few, what was it? I don't know. I had a long stretch of not even being in contention. So, but I'm noticing when I actually do get there, I am finding it's definitely not easy, but when I'm done, I'm like, man, it's really just a lot of my mentality. So, yeah.
And how do you hope to carry that over into this week? You've got a few days before you play, but what's the plan for the next few days?
Really just, this is a course I've never played a tournament on. I've only ever seen a few holes at Worlds in 2012, and so I got to play around before USDGC, but I didn't know the layout, and then played a practice round this morning. So it's really just, I don't even know if I'm focusing on that so much as just really understanding the course and what it's demanding and focusing as much as possible on a game plan as opposed to anything else quite yet, because it could be one and done on Saturday, or even if I advance, then it all resets on Sunday morning. So it's a bit different of a layout, or if you will.
What do you think of the format?
It's fun. I think it's different. I mean, I don't know. You guys know me. I'll do whatever. 4 rounds, 3 rounds, 2 rounds a day, match play, whatever you guys want.
All right. What's the plans for after this, off-season wise?
I'm going to go home and enjoy my some time on my couch and seeing my mom and my friends, and then I don't know if I should say, I might play a one-day C tier in Sioux Falls at the course that I played my first ever sanctioned event on. So that might happen. I feel like saying that now, I'm going to have to. But and then after that, put the Frisbees down. Austin turns 30 in November, and we are celebrating that in Paris.
I don't want to lock you into the C tier, but what is compelling you to do that?
I don't know. It's like 15 minutes from my apartment, and I don't think I've played there since I was, since 2010 probably.
They probably just added you to the registration list for that, so sorry about that.
I like to play open.
Here's Matt.
Okay.
Going back to Sunday, on hole 8, you had a would-be tap-in, really, that turned into a roll away, then you nailed the next putt.
Yeah.
Walk us through that moment, because we never really got to ask. What happened there?
So I tapped in, and it just, I don't know, I guess I haven't watched the video, but I just remember, like, picking up my mini and seeing my disc. Like, it was just outside the bullseye, I think. And I don't know. I actually joked. Everyone's like, I can't believe you made the next one. I'm like, I was in shock. I think I just, like my muscle memory took over. I just went through my routine and was, but yeah.
You talked
You
about
put a basket on the side of the hill and little wind and just going to happen.
You talked about a change or a form fix kind of earlier in the season. Has it worked out for you, and what changes have you made, really?
It's still getting there. I'm still frustrated with it a little bit from time to time, but just making as few adjustments as I can that won't make me inconsistent, if that makes sense. Just really focusing on a run up, reach back, and a few other things. Getting my hips more involved and coming through, but it's like I just want the season to end. I want to unlearn everything I learned, and I want to start from scratch. So, like I said, making a few small adjustments to be more consistent, and then once the off-season really starts, I'll probably try my hardest not to touch a disc for 2 months so I can start from scratch.
Now, having a bye to the semifinals in this event, is that advantage to you, or would you prefer to get that competition going early?
Right. There's talk about that. How you can kind of get in a rhythm with the course. Like what was it last year? Nathan Queen, what came from the first round, and Dickerson, I think, has some wins from an earlier round. So, it's like if you keep getting through, you kind of have the course dialed. So we'll see. But then it's also like, okay, well, no matter what, this is what I'm making, and this is where I'll end up. So, it's a fun format. It's a little different mindset out there.
Thanks, Catrina. We'll be right back.
Okay.
and we're back with George Sappenfield, the Disc Golf Hall of Fame. George, you got some stuff here to show us. What you got?
Well, you need about an hour. I've got 2 or 3 hours worth of stuff. Will that work?
Well, the quick version.
No. Yeah. No, this is the bag from a 1978, the first official tournament that Whammo sponsored, but it's part of Ed Hedrick's thing. But I'm going to take you back before about 12, 13 years before this, because disc golf, there's 3 things that had to happen for disc golf to be what it is today, and that is you needed to have a course that was not trees and light poles, and then second, you needed to have a hole that was permanent, that could stay overnight and all that. And then third, you needed to have a disc that was specially designed for disc golf. All right, I've been involved in the first 2 of those because the first non-existing object hole was something that I came up with, which was the hula hoop. And so this was put in the ground, 2 wooden stakes put in the ground, hoop tied to it, and then we set up our own course. And this is back in 1965 when I was a playground leader in Fresno, California. And in 1968, I randomly met a gentleman by the name of Ed Hedrick at the LA airport when I was on my way to Fort Knox, Kentucky to start my basic training for California National Guard. But and so I knew about Ed, but and I had become a member of the International Frisbee Association, which superseded the PDGA. So back then, right now you have a PDGA number. Okay, this was my IFA card. And so I was 209, IFA 209. This is from 1967, 68. And I ran into Ed at the airport, and I was so excited because he was Mr. Whammo. And so I told him about my Frisbee golf idea with the hula hoop. And he said, well, there's no real no future in that, but here's my card. So I kept that card, and when I got my first job in Thousand Oaks, California, as a recreation supervisor in 1969, I wrote to Ed Hedrick, and I asked him to send some hula hoops and frisbees for a Frisbee golf tournament I was going to have. And he was nice enough to do that, but he didn't come to see it. And so anyway, that had the point of that story is that Ed wasn't too excited about Frisbee golf or disc golf back in those days. And if you want to know the true history of it, I'm going to show you this. This is Jim Palmieri's book on the history of disc golf, and called Chain of Events. And it's all right there. And I'm going to give Jim credit too, because it was what I did and what Jim Palmieri did with his version of Frisbee golf that finally got Ed interested. Jim did his in 71, I did mine in 79, and it was part of the California meet, or the all-comers meet, in 1969, my version of it. And so Ed finally realized that, yeah, people were kind of interested in this sport. And then, thanks to Ed, we have the permanent basket, which came in 1976. Also part of my history is with the Rose Bowl. I was the event director for the Rose Bowl, and I was a volunteer consultant with Whammo back in those days. So, like I said, my experience with this wonderful, wonderful sport of disc golf goes back to well before the chains, and so it's been great fun to watch both versions of things that happen, because back when I started, the Frisbee was still considered a toy, so it had to get credibility as a sporting goods item first, and then people started different games and all that. So.
What an incredible story, and thank you for continuing to push Ed Hedrick, and that's a reason why we're here today. So thank you again for sharing all of that.
Yeah.
Now we're here at the Pro Tour Championships, and they're playing for $300,000 in this purse, and Barbasol's here as a presenting sponsor. So can you wrap your head around where we're at right now and hearing all those things and being here at this place?
No, it's hard for me, and I lose sleep over it. But this was the disc that you played with back in the early stages, and all you had to do was carry this one disc. So it's hard for me to look at these guys lugging guys and gals lugging big bags of discs around. I'm being facetious, but it's amazing to me, and the fact that it is all over the world and every continent has a disc golf course, and so and that's one of the beauties of this, and just the people that play. The fact that it's a fun sport to be played by all ages.
Well, you lived in California, you lived in the Charlotte area, 2 hotbeds of disc golf. Tell us about Charlotte disc golf.
It's hard not to go any place in Charlotte and not hear about disc golf, which is wonderful. And you've got some beautiful courses, hard courses, a variety of skill level courses. So it's it is the hotbed of at least southeastern part of the United States, along with several other states that are trying to catch up with it. But I did want to touch a little bit on the Hall of Fame, because this was my induction year, along with Andy Young, and Andy Young and I are the directors now of the Hall of Fame. We took over in 2019, but this was our Hall of Fame disc in 2018. And there are now 99 members of the Hall of Fame. It's such an honor to be part of the Hall of Fame. And we are, as I said earlier about the progress of the sport itself, it needed to have a permanent basket. We realized in the Hall of Fame we need to have a permanent home now for the Hall of Fame. Currently, the Hall of Fame discs are displayed at the IDGC in Appling, Georgia. We are not sponsored by any other organizations, not the PDGA Hall of Fame or any other, but we certainly have valuable partnerships with them. And so currently all the plaques for Hall of Fame members are displayed at the IDGC. But it's time now that we as a disc golf sport worldwide need to have a permanent home. So we have started a fundraising campaign, slogan being building the future by honoring the past. So if you go to our website, the discgolfhalloffame.org website, you can contribute to that. And so we've kicked that off, and hopefully in the next few years we'll have a permanent state-of-the-art home.
That's incredible. An incredible slogan, incredible story. So thank you so much for sharing that with us, George, and we'll be right back. All right, and we're back with Chris Dickerson. Chris, we'll start right with it. You said you played Nevin before, but not quite like this.
Yes.
What's the changes? What's it looking like out there?
They've lengthened a couple holes, made them quite a bit harder. I think there's a couple that are going to be very, very hard to birdie. Others, they've just changed par on them. They used to be 5s, now they're 4s.
What do you think of the course overall, and how is it going to test the best of the best this week?
I think it's pretty solid. You just got to stay in the middle. That goes for everybody. As long as you stay in the middle, you'll be fine.
All right, you're coming in with the 5 seed, have a bye to semifinals, which is different than what you've experienced in this format in the years past. So
a little different.
What, are you going to enjoy these next few days?
Yeah, kind of, but I'm going to still be out here practicing. I'm going to try and get a practice round in every day.
All right, you've come from the play-in before. What advice would you give to those 6 players that are trying to get in tomorrow?
It's almost like match play. I mean, you're still out there playing stroke play, but you know what everybody else is doing. You've only got to do it one round. So let's say you're coming into 17, 18, you're 2 strokes into the round. You don't need to do anything crazy. So if you're 2 strokes ahead of whatever the last place is, just go for par.
All right. How are you feeling overall at this point, or near at the end of the season?
Feeling good.
I mean, what's the mood out there among the MPO competitors? Is there burnout? Is there people tired? Or how do you battle past that to dig down and finish strong?
Honestly, I really haven't noticed. If anybody's, feeling like it's a long season, they're feeling kind of burnt out, I couldn't tell you.
I think that just kind of speaks to where we're at in the game.
Yeah, we played a lot this year.
Nice. And you said you were going to play a few more after this.
Oh, yeah.
Including Lake Marshall. Mm-hmm. What can fans expect from that place in a few weeks or months?
A little bit of what we've got out here, mixed in with a little bit of open. So kind of a mix between this weekend and the last weekend.
Okay. Now, this part of the wraparound season and a Silver Series, it kind of tests these new venues out. Mm-hmm. How important do you think that is for the tour moving forward to branch out and explore these new avenues and places for y'all to play?
I think it's really good to find new places because, there's a lot of hidden gems out there, and Lake Marshall is definitely one of them. I doubt after we play it this year as a Silver Series, it'll be a Silver Series again next year. If there is, it's not the course's fault. Maybe it's the location.
Nice. All right, here's Matt.
Thank you.
Chris, some high highs this year, when a few wins, including Champions Cup and then, events like MVP. How will you remember this season?
The highs. Yeah. Somebody asked me something about MVP, not cashing, all that stuff. I've already forgot about it. The cash streak that went 200 and something events, that doesn't matter. That doesn't bring in a paycheck or anything like that at the end of the day. So for me, I've already forgotten about it.
So you're a 2-time winner here. Well, not exactly here, but this event. And both times you played the maximum number of rounds. Mm-hmm. This time you have a bye. Is there a sense of that being an advantage or a disadvantage, or do you not care?
So what I've learned playing all the rounds in years past, you do get a little more practice time on the course. And it's not just practicing, it's seeing how other people play the course, and it's being put in those pressure situations 2 rounds before everyone else gets there. So it does help. I would rather play 2 more days.
Thanks, Chris. We'll be right back.
Thank you.
And we are back with Valerie Mandujano. Valerie, 5th seed this week. How does that reflect your season overall, and how proud of you are you of accomplishing that?
I'm super proud of it. A little disappointed because I was the 4th seed, I think, a couple of weeks ago, but I'll take it. It's been a long season, so.
Yeah, how are you feeling overall with the long season? We've talked about it all day, where can't even keep up with what number of event this is this year. So how are you feeling overall?
Honestly, a little burned out. I'm excited to go home. I think this is going on the 5th month since I've been home, so I'll plan it out better next year, but yeah, I'm missing home right now.
What adjustments do you think you will make? I mean, we've seen players do that. We're just being a little more selective.
Yeah, I think we're all going to select the events a lot better, maybe just play like 2 Silver Series. I think the players that took the bigger gaps in the time off, it paid off. So I think that's a page I'm going to steal out of a couple of players' book this upcoming season.
I mean, do you feel any pressure to play week in and week out from externally, internally, or FOMO, whatever?
Yeah, I think there is definitely pressure there too, especially if you had played good the last week or won the last week. There's always that pressure to perform every week. I feel like it's more of a toll on your body and mentally than anything else. I feel like for me, Alexis and Mason, we're all coming into new courses every week in and week out. We haven't had the chance to play all the events. So I think for us, this is a new point of view on a lot of courses. We're having to learn them. It's not just like, oh, okay, well, let's see what I could do this year. I remember this hole being here. It's a lot of learning what the good spots are and the bad spots for us. So we're having to throw multiple drives.
A grind, no doubt, but fun. And what has that experience been like to really get out and see disc golf across the country?
I mean, I think it's amazing. As hard as our job is, I wouldn't trade it in for anything else. I love it. I love the fact that we're able to travel and experience new things with each other. Like
earlier this season, I saw that y'all stopped in, for instance, played in the Redwoods.
Yeah.
Where not a lot of people get to see that. So do you take a moment to really reflect on where you're at and what you're doing?
Yeah, for sure. I think that's important to, at least to us. It's important to take some time off to ourselves and be selfish that week and go out and play some random courses or just even stop in some random spots. Because if we didn't travel or have this job, I know we wouldn't.
All right. One more to go. The grind's not over yet.
Yep.
What do you think of Nevin? What do you think of this format and the Pro Tour Championship overall?
I like everything. I like the course. This is my first time playing it. This is my first time playing the Tour Championships too, so I'm excited. Yeah, I'm just excited to get this week started and to end it, honestly, if that makes sense.
Right. And what's your plans after that off season?
Probably to take a week off and then start the grind, meaning start a new game plan, then start planning the tour.
And a new tour change locally to y'all next year will be the Open in Austin. Tell us about Austin disc golf and in that area and what people can expect.
I mean, Austin alone is a huge scene. If you like doing things, I think Austin has pretty much everything covered. The disc golf out there is pretty big, I will say. The courses are really nice. You'll find some that are heavily wooded and some are fairly open and fairly wooded. So you can expect a little bit of everything.
All right, well, we'll take a little break before we do that, but we'll see you then. Here's Matt.
Yeah.
Hey, Val, your first full season with a new sponsor. Can you just reflect on the year and how that's been?
Yeah, I mean, it's the first full touring year, I think, for all three of us. But now with the new sponsorship I felt like it was a little added pressure in the beginning of the year, but I felt like both parties took it very well. You know, they helped us out a lot, and I felt like we helped them out a lot as well.
You started the year with a big win in Waco, a big win in Portland as well, and Beaver State. But how awesome would it be to finish off the year, kind of bookend the year with another win?
Honestly, it would mean the world to me. So that way I know I continued on to play well. It wasn't just like a certain time in my game that I was able to continue to work throughout the entire season. So for me personally, it would just show everyone how much work I actually do put into my game.
Thanks, Val. We'll be right back.
And we are back with Kristin Tattar, the reigning world champion and the #1 seed at the Pro Tour Championship. So that means the past few months have been pretty good. So tell us how you're feeling right now.
Feeling good. I take this like a bonus event. I mean, I think this whole season has been amazing for me, and no matter the outcome of this weekend, I'll be happy with my season for sure.
You know, it's been the end of a long one. I mean, are you fatigued, tired, burnt out, excited? A combination of all those things?
Yeah, I feel like I'm a little bit tired at this point. I mean, I did have some time off during summer because of the injury, so a lot of the other players have played a lot more than I have. But spending like almost 3 months away from home, it has taken a toll on me. So yeah, I'm ready to go home.
We haven't asked about the injury in a little while, but how are you feeling overall, or with the injury?
It's basically the same. Nothing has really changed. It's not perfect, but it doesn't really disturb me during the play. So yeah.
All right, going back to Winthrop, your first experience there in a few years. Battling back on Sunday, how did you dig down and get back into contention?
I think my mind was elsewhere during the first round and also the other rounds as well. It was very tough for me to find some focus, but I just kept reminding myself that this is the only time I can change stuff. I cannot live in the future, but I feel like I have been living in the future. I think about home, you know, and how would it feel like to be back at home and stuff. But yeah, just like I said, I have to remind myself of being present and in this moment right now.
You know, it got wild out there, as it does at Winthrop, got close. What did you see from Catrina on Sunday, on Championship Sunday?
She definitely opened the door for me, made a couple of mistakes here and there. But I think the deciding moment for me was on hole 12 when I threw it into OB and I had to do a rethrow. I think it was a very stupid mistake to take a bogey there. If I would have continued with a birdie, I would have maybe put some more pressure on her and made it a little bit more interesting. But I think this was like a deciding moment, at least for me.
All right, now here we are at the Pro Tour Championships. You got a few days until you can play. Is that a good thing or is that a bad thing?
I think it's a good thing. I'm very happy to be in the semifinals, so I don't have to play tomorrow or the other days. But yeah, I've scheduled all the practice rounds for myself, and I'm excited to just practice. And I don't have like any pressure, basically. Just out here trying to have fun and execute good shots.
You know, last week when we were talking, you got excited when we talked about Nevin and getting back in the woods. So what do you think of this course? And what's it going to do to challenge y'all?
Have to throw straight shots. If you can throw straight, I think you'll be the winner here. Yeah, it's definitely fun. I think it's way more interesting than just throwing between lines. You know, I love when trees are shaping the fairways. I think it makes it a little bit more exciting and challenging. And I like this course. Yeah, I'm excited to play here.
All right. What does the off season look like for you? When are y'all heading home, and what are you planning on doing?
Probably just get back to my training and practice routine. Actually, really looking forward to that. Not competing and just training and practicing. I just love training a lot, and I have my own routines, and just looking forward to enjoy just doing some work by myself.
Yeah. 2023, any plans on the schedule yet?
Nothing yet. I think I'm gonna take some time off and reflect on this season, and then make plans for the new one.
All right. You know, the sport obviously continues to grow. It's not showing any signs of slowing down. So what do you want to see from disc golf overall in 2023 and beyond?
Just seeing the field get more competitive. Obviously, I would love to see more spots for the women. I think there were some issues with the spots earlier in the season, that there were more women who wanted to compete and they just didn't have a place, which is a great problem to have, to be honest, because a few years ago there were plenty of spots but no women. So now I'm just looking forward to seeing even more women out there, and yeah, just to witness the growth of the sport.
Thanks, Kristin. Here's Matt.
Hey, Kristin. You were down the leaderboard last week, but you managed to finish second. How encouraging is it that you were able to get yourself back on lead card and had a shot at winning, or discouraging that you didn't win like we've grown so accustomed to?
To be honest, it felt like I won because after the first round I was devastated. I mean, I didn't know what happened during those three last holes. I played 7 over par, something that hasn't really, I can't remember the last time it happened, but it happened, and it proved to be quite a challenge, and I do love a challenge, and so I just thought, okay, this is how I played. Now I have the chance to play better. The rest is up to the other competitors. For some reason, the third round, everybody played, I mean, not everybody, but the majority of women played over par. And I just kept the same level of play, I felt like. And it was enough to put me on the lead card. And to be honest, I was just very positively surprised I even had the chance to play for the win.
At what point in the tournament you were on a card with all European players? Is there a sense of camaraderie between? I understand that kind of most are coming from a different country.
Yeah.
But is there a sense of, hey, we're all kind of coming from the same part of the world to play together, and we're kind of showing that we're a big part of the sport?
Yes, it was definitely. I think it was the third round. Yeah. It was very exciting. After I finished my second round, and I was just looking at the scoreboard, and I was like, wow, I have the best card ever. It was just a lot of fun seeing all these European names up there, and I don't think it has happened before, at least not for me. And I haven't played with Kate the whole season, so we were traveling together this whole time, but never had the opportunity to play together during a tournament round. So I was very happy to play with her and with Annika and obviously Evelina. They're all really nice people, and it felt like playing back home. So it was a lot of fun.
No, you mentioned a lot of training this offseason. What does training look like for you? Is it getting rounds in when you can get outside? Is it putting at home, or is it just general working out?
A lot like general working out just to build up the stamina and strength, I feel like. Less like disc golf, I guess, because it's winter time. Probably a lot of putting and just throwing in the net, but just, yeah, mostly strength training probably.
Thanks, Kristin. We'll be right back.
Yeah, thanks.
Missy, welcome. Thanks for joining us. Last year felt like a breakout season for you. How is this year compared? Better, worse, or the same?
Honestly, I feel like I've been pretty consistent. Maybe not so many things happening all at once, but as far as my overall, season, I've been pretty consistent. I think I just saw today I'm the 4th highest rated woman in the world, which is pretty mind-blowing. I finally got over 970, and then, I'm also number 4 in the world ranking. So, I'd say that's all consistency to get me to that point.
Do you read these rankings and think, yeah, that's appropriate, or does it shock you, or are you like, no, I'm better than that? How does seeing a number 4 next to your name look?
It feels good to finally be there, but because of all of the people that have been there before me, I think of Kat and Paige and all the people that I've looked up to, and they've always been in the top 4, top 2, so to finally kind of have my name in there is really cool, and I think that I'm not necessarily surprised, but I'm just proud of all of the things I've accomplished to get to that point.
It looked good during throw pink, and but you didn't finish exactly near the top. What happened last week that kept you off the podium?
Yeah, I think it was the one round where everybody seemed to shoot really hot, the second round, I think, and I just sort of shot like 2 down, which under par there is really good, but not good enough when everyone, when there's a bunch of people shooting 10 downs, and the conditions were really good, so I think I just didn't take advantage of the good conditions that day, and then the third day was windy and was really tough, and so thankfully I was able to keep my score not super high, but I think that sort of just set me back a little bit, but battled back and was able to find myself in 4th place. So not on top, but a couple of bad rounds will do that to you.
The off season is coming up. Do you have plans for the off season? What's your next few weeks look like, basically?
Yeah, so after the Tour Championship, I'm actually taking a nice little vacation, going down to Peru. I've never been outside of the country before, other than Canada, but I've never flown outside of the country, and that's going to be a nice leisure time with some old friends from college, and then I have some off time, kind of figuring out what I'm going to do there, but then with the Paul Macbeth Foundation, I'll be heading to Uganda to set up 2 of the first 2 courses in the country there, and that's going to be such a fulfilling, opportunity for me, and I'm really looking forward to this off season.
So you've gone from 0 to international.
Yeah.
Is there
crazy.
European plans next year?
Actually, yes. I wasn't really sure if the European Open was going to happen, because I know it was kind of biannually in years past, but to see that it's going to happen, my plans are that I'm going to be there. So I'm excited, and maybe I'll even head to Norway as well. I've only heard amazing things about that event and that area, so that would be super cool if I could kind of be there for a little bit longer.
Now, when does training typically start? Are you casually training during all this? When you say off season, what's is it completely off? No, don't even think about disc golf, or is it just resting, not competing?
Initially it feels like I don't want to think about disc golf at all. And for 2 weeks after the Pro Tour Championship, I won't be thinking about disc golf because I'm not bringing any discs to Peru or anything like that. So it will be nice to not think about disc golf at all. However, it's hard to give it up. It's such a big part of my life, and so I say that I'm going to take time off, but I'm probably going to be back at it pretty quickly. And but I think I'm going to incorporate some other things into training this year, a little bit more of a regimen in terms of working out and stuff like that. So it might be a little different than years past, but it's always hard to stop throwing discs.
How will you remember this season? This weekend aside, obviously, not knowing what's going to happen,
Right.
But how will you remember this season looking back?
I think, again, like I said, I feel like I've been pretty consistent. I've only found myself outside of the top 10, a handful of times. And, I think I feel really accomplished. And there were a lot of times this season that I came off the course thinking my score was going to be maybe 3rd, 4th card, not really that good. And then I was on lead card. So maybe my expectations are really high, and that's okay. But I surprised myself with some of the rounds that weren't up to my standards. Happened to be kind of okay, and so that just tells me that I have a higher ceiling, and if I can get those really solid rounds together and shoot the way I think I can shoot, then it's going to be I can go even farther. So yeah, I'm looking forward to next season and the years to come.
Having to play in the quarterfinals, obviously, anytime you play, you risk losing, I suppose. But is it kind of an advantage in some aspects to be able to get in those reps and play on the course before those who have a bye even get to step onto it?
That's interesting. I was just talking to Zoe and Ike actually to kind of like think about whether, how much I feel like if it's an advantage or not an advantage. Last year I did have the bye. It happened to work out for me, but this year I don't have the bye, so it's hard to say. And the year before, last year, I didn't have a bye either, and I think I made it into the semis, but that's where that ended for me. So it's hard to say really if more reps are better. I typically like to have more time on the course, but that's during regular stroke play. So anything could happen. I think that it's an advantage if you make it into the semis to have that additional practice competitive round. But yeah, it just sort of depends on what you value. Obviously getting a guaranteed bigger paycheck with the bye is a nice advantage there. But yeah, we'll see. I don't know how it's going to shake out.
Now, obviously at a different course, but does going into an event that you've won before in general, does that kind of give you a sense of either nostalgia or like, okay, I've won this before, I can do it again?
Yeah, well, I think last year, I remember I tried to just treat this event like any other event. I didn't want to think about what the purse was like. I just wanted to go into it thinking that it's just a new weekend, a new tournament, and just like not puts that extra pressure on myself. And I'm hoping to do that again this year. I mean, I know that I won this event last year, but like you said, it's a different course, a new year, and I'm just gonna try to go into it fresh and try not to think about all of the things that come with winning this event and just play the course. It's a really tough course. It's very tight. The rough is very punishing. So you just got to really focus in on your shots and try not to get ahead of yourself too much.
Thanks, Missy. We'll be right back. Hey, Joel, thanks for joining us. We're nearing the end of the season, and here we are in October. How will you look back at this season, this weekend aside, because question mark, but how will you look back at the part of 2022 that's happened?
Yeah, happy. Definitely my strongest season so far. I think the last two full touring seasons for me, which were 2021 and 2019, were both kind of like a slow start and a strong finish for me. Whereas this year, I think, obviously there were road bumps along the way, but overall, pretty strong showing. Early in the season, middle season, and late season, I had some good showings, got a lot of camera time, so happy.
What's the off season look like for you? How soon is your off season until your off season starts, and what does it look like?
Yeah, so I enjoy kind of hanging out in this area, kind of in the Carolinas for a couple extra weeks once the kind of big official tour is over. So I've got a couple A-tiers coming up. This year I'm going to Lake Marshall, Myrtle Beach, and then on the way home I'll be playing Northwest Arkansas Open, which I played last year, really enjoyed going down there. I can't explain it exactly why, but Arkansas just feels like a second home to me. I've won a couple tournaments there, and I just enjoy the community. So looking forward to Arkansas. And then once winter hits, celebrating the holidays with family and just a lot of time indoors because Colorado's, the weather's brutal. But yeah, I'm going to play as much as I can. A lot of logistical things, sending emails, negotiating contracts, all that good stuff. So.
You're entering this tournament as 7th seed. Is that a good spot? Do you look at that number 7 and think, yeah, that sounds about right? Or do you think I'm better than that? Or how does it feel?
Some days I'm better than that. Other days I'm not, So, yeah, I'm proud of, getting into that top 8 for the double bye into the semifinals. And so, yeah, something I can be proud of. And at the same time, yeah, of course, I have potential to shoot better than anybody else on any given day, and so it's just going to be whoever brings it, come game time. So, see what happens on Saturday.
Is that double bye an advantage to you, or would you rather be out there getting more reps?
I think it's an advantage. We all put in a ton of work, a ton of reps, and so I think. Nothing's ever guaranteed. You might show up to the course one day, and as much as you'd love to be in full control of your skills and your executions, your level of execution, no one is at the end of the day. And so nothing is guaranteed, and so I'm happy and honored and pleased to get the double bye into the semis. And yeah, just like I said, it's a matter of whoever brings it on Saturday. So.
How does this course stack up to your game? What do you like about it, or what challenges it you?
Yeah, I think it's super fitting. I have an artistic background. I went to art school. I was raised by 2 artists, and so I have a very creative mind and a strong imagination, which I think is a big part of what it takes to shape lines in the woods and come up with kind of the right answer to each problem that you're faced with. And so I think that's what I excel at the most in the sport of disc golf. And so this course, I feel like, is going to put that on display. I know I can scramble with the best of them, and no one's going to get through this course without scrambling at some point. So yeah, I'm excited. I think I'll get to show off my skills this weekend.
Thanks, Joel. We'll be right back.
Thanks for having me.
Ella, we thank you for taking some time away from the Mariners game to join us now. Before disc golf, what's your Mariners fanhood? How's it going right now?
It's going very, very good. For those that don't know, the Seattle Mariners used to have the worst playoff drought in major pro sports history. No, not history, active. But we made the playoffs for the first time this year in 21 years. And we made it past the wild card. We're playing in the division series right now against the Astros, so go Mariners, as always.
Much like the Mariners, I'm going to try this. Much like the Mariners, you came out of nowhere onto the disc golf scene, and now you're one of the elite teams / athletes. I tried. Your first sanctioned event was 2 years ago. Describe your disc golf journey in the brief amount of time it's been.
Yeah, I obviously played Ultimate for a very long time before playing disc golf, and almost 3 years ago today, I was forced kind of to play some disc golf by some media guys that I was hanging out with in Florida, and I was very excited by the fact that I could throw a putter further than an Ultimate disc, even with like my terrible Ultimate form. And I kind of just got hooked, ended up getting some of my own discs. I played one AM tournament in like September of 2020, and then started playing pro after that and kind of never looked back.
What advice would you give somebody that wants to be a professional athlete in a sport they started less than a year ago?
I mean, I think working hard at it, getting really invested into it. It definitely helps to have a previous athletic background, and frisbee throwing background as well. So that's helpful. I think just making sure you kind of get a sense of how you stack up to the current players. My moment of trying to realizing that I could probably compete on tour was in 2020. I was on the media crew at USDGC, and I was able to play the course, and I was like, I didn't play that good, but I played well enough that I realized I could potentially compete with people, and that's kind of what propelled me to pushing to be on tour.
Compare Ultimate and disc golf, the kind of scene of players near the top of the game. What's the difference in culture or kind of attitude towards the game among those who play at the top level?
Yeah, I mean, I think both Ultimate players and disc golfers are really committed to their game, committed to the sport. I think the main difference you see is that, the top disc golfers in the game, this is our job, whereas the top Ultimate players in the game, even the best players in the world, are most likely working a full-time day job outside of Ultimate. So, for Ultimate players, it's a lot more of a grind of post-work workouts every day. Practice is 4 hours a day on the weekends and stuff. So it's, obviously both are a big time commitment, but I have to say it's pretty nice to be able to do this as my job and not have to worry about training outside of work hours. You know what I mean?
You had some near top finishes during the summer, but it was a long season. So I guess besides the Pacific Northwest, what were your favorite stops in the tour?
Yeah, I really enjoyed Jonesboro. That course is really fun. I like the way the lines are shaped. Obviously, the Pacific Northwest and OTB Open are two of my favorite tournaments. And yeah, I really liked playing in the Midwest. I think the courses at Ledgestone and the course at Idlewild are both great courses.
All right, thank you, Ella.
Thank you.
Go Mariners.
Go Mariners.
Katmers, thanks for joining us. Just starting with the season as a whole, what will you look back on this season as?
Positive. Definitely a positive season for me to move forward, for sure.
And what expectations do you have for yourself this weekend?
I'm going to try to win because that's one of the goals that I wanted. I wanted to get one big win, so I'm going to try and really put all my energy into that.
You've been in the mix for a lot of Pro Tour events and majors this year. Do you feel like you're on the verge of a big win?
Yes, I do. I just still need to cross over that threshold. I'm not too sure what's holding me back, but I think it's in here.
Is there, you can practice, you can throw 500 putts between events, but is there anything you can do that, you can say, I didn't do this well enough last week mentally, or that you kind of adjust?
You could manage your time a little bit better, for sure. I feel like I could have managed my time and maybe had a better diet and better sleeping schedule, but that's kind of hard to do when you're just constantly moving.
What about the off season? How are you going to work through this off season and kind of better yourself during the off season?
I'm going to look at my weaknesses and my strengths, and just really start to, I can't think of the word, but filter some things through. I'm going to filter through all my stuff, and I'd like to get swole. I'd like to get buff. Come back with some thighs, dude.
What about, what kind of training does a disc golfer do, or do you do outside of actually performing the act of disc golf to get better?
Man, when I'm actually training, I try to putt every day. Going to the field's very good, but taking care of your mental space is also very important. You can work harder than everyone and still come in second place because you thought negatively about something that wasn't that bad.
What about this course in particular have you noticed, or does it play well to your game?
This course is going to be a challenge for everybody. There's a bunch of trees. You can get slightly off your line and hit a tree and go sideways. I think it's anyone's game out here, honestly.
Do you consider it an advantage not having to play in the play-in, or would you rather the reps to stay fresh and see the course early?
Depends on the player, I guess. I just show up to these things, man, try to win.
And is there a highlight from the season for you if you had to pick one?
We'll see.
We'll see?
We'll see. It's not over yet.
Thank you, Kat.
Thanks.
And thanks, everybody, for joining us.
How'd you like that little motorbike?